My name is Ivan Saltanov, and we have Mr. Kiranjet as our guest. We will be speaking English, well, Russian, but it will be translated into English. So it is a little introduction. I'm just repeating myself. Mr. Kiranjet is a specialist of very large profile, a big specialist in economics and promotion of projects, including on the Indian market. Our presentation will be about our product. We will present our product that we are creating. And we will speak about the prospects. The webinar will be divided into two parts. First, we'll have an introduction about the product, what we are involved in, what is the zone of our competence, and what we are doing generally. So once again, my name is Ivan Saltanov. I'm CEO, organizer, and founder, one of owners of the company MLC Engineering, and we are producing systems of diagnosis of health to prolong lives of millions of users planet. Our project is aimed to solve this task. We are creating our own product in the medical field. Our first goal is creation of a diagnostic tool, the so-called CGM, System of Constant Glucose Monitoring in Blood. And I will tell you briefly about the market that we have there. Each person on the planet Earth doesn't know about such systems and maybe doesn't even know about the problem. So let's start with the problem. According to the data of the World Association of Diabetes, today, according to forecasts, according to statistics, there are about 537 million people who have problems with glucose level. Those who have diabetes, DM, diabetes mellitus. What is diabetes? I am now gesticulating, I'm talking to you, and when we do something, we use energy, we consume energy. Our body consumes this energy via a complex chain, via consumption of glucose, first of all, which is transformed in ATF cells. Disruption of this balance, and when cells, well, to speak in simpler terms, glucose and ATF cells, they are energy cells. It is like diesel, like fuel for a car. And when it gets unbalanced, when fuel is not of good quality, or when the body itself, the organism itself, does not take in the fuel, it becomes to be unbalanced. It is due to ecology, it is due to stress, to load on our nervous system that make bodies, organisms of people on the planet insulin tolerant. It means that cells get stressed at a micro level and they get closed in order to absorb this glucose. This is the classical formula of how it works. And due to lack of feeding the cells, big problems appear. And we see these problems in statistics. It is reflected there. 537 million people have this problem. 1 death in 10 on the Earth is associated with DM and its consequences. By 2040, statistics is saying that 740 million people will have this problem. Soon we see on our screens in the news, we see news about horrible viruses, COVID-19, new viruses that appear, that contaminate more and more people, and that lead to big rate of death. However, pandemic of diabetes has never stopped. As soon as first diseases were registered and described, the pandemic of diabetes has been there all this time, and it brings away millions of lives on the planet. What is the humanity's response to this global challenge? Decrease of quality of life. Humanity came up with several breakthrough technologies. The first thing is insulin that humanity came up with due to a lack of insulin, this chemical substance, this hormone. Diabetes mellitus is actually developed. The link between insulin and diabetes is very strong and direct. To use medicines correctly, like insulin or others, that would make glucose tolerance smaller as compared to consumed food, consumed energy. Humanity came up with insulin and ways to control glucose level in blood. It all started with strange and not very clear things. 30 or 40 years ago, a person who had problems with diabetes mellitus measured their level of sugar with laboratory methods, literally. There were like reagents, chemical substances, they had to be evaporated. It was almost impossible to do it at home. That is why people could not actually influence their disease at all. Diabetes was like a death sentence. 30 years ago, things started to change. First, they came up with simpler and more clear ways to measure glucose, laboratory methods. Laboratories emerged that measure glucose level, and people received a chance. Millions of people received a chance. A person could control level of glucose themselves, and thus they could prolong their lives. 15 or 20 years ago, individual devices appeared to measure glucose level. They are classical sensors, which you see on the left of your screen. Classical glucometers that have sensor bands. You just pierce your finger, you take a drop of blood on the sensor lancet. They are one usage devices, and you see your glucose level there. And then you can have a proper therapy or control development of your disease. However, even such modern systems like lancets and self-control, they did not provide considerable results. Of course, people started to live longer, and there were people who actually lived for a long time with diabetes. A whole system appeared to solve the diabetes problem. Individually, society, medicine, modern scientific circles, they started to teach people with diabetes self-control and to provide them with tools to have the self-control and to improve their life. Unfortunately, it does not bring mass results, and I will tell you why. Each day, each minute after you have eaten something, for example, 1 hour after you have eaten, 2 hours after you have eaten, several hours before you want to eat something, at night, during the day, each time glucose level is changing. And of course, self-control devices like lancets, they are not enough for fully fledged diagnosis. On this graph, you see 4 measurements that a person took. The first one, it was done early in the morning. And that measurement showed that glucose level was low. The second measurement was done later, and the result was received. And then we see that the third and the fourth measurements during the day also provided some results. If we connect all the dots, we will see a graph. But the truth is that these measurements are not enough, are not sufficient. And unfortunately, a person's quality of life, when they do such measurements, will not get significantly improved. Why? Why is it so? Let's look. It's because at night, that person had a very low level of glucose. Here, you see a low point. And it could, that person could have influence on that. For example, drink something, eat something sweet, and to wake up in the morning, not to have a headache, to feel good. But unfortunately, the person missed it because self-control system of all generation, it does not give much. And then the person also missed the high peak of glucose. which also influences vessels in your head, which has horrible and negative impact. What to do in this situation? How did we receive this graph? 5 years ago, new modern systems appeared on the market, systems of constant glucose monitoring in blood, CGM. It is a sensor which you install on a human body, on the arm or on the leg. And then within 5 minutes, actually every 5 minutes, it measures glucose level. And then you come up with such a graph, which looks great. Basically, the person improves their self-control system, and they can see where it was violated in terms of their decisions. For example, they ate too much. Each person with diabetes knows that they should not overeat. But they can never answer the question how to do so as to feel good. Lancets cannot provide this information. You make a graph and you just have several dots to do that. However, when you use CGM, you understand clearly that a beverage can have impact. A specific beverage that this person likes has impact on their glucose level or the dish they love. Each time they eat it, it also has a major impact. The volume of that beverage, the volume of that portion of food. Altogether, it provides that person with understanding. CGM opens new opportunities of self-education. A person starts to understand why they have headaches in the morning, for example. After simple food habits, maybe they did sport, maybe they had a walk, nothing extraordinary happened, but the person is feeling bad. Why? And they start to understand why it happened and how to do self-control of their health and how to control glucose level. It opens new doors for such people. People start to get self-educated. They start to understand why they have low glucose level at some points, why they have high glucose levels at other points. And then the person is made to protect themselves. People often ask, for example, person with diabetes, how do you live without sweet things? People with diabetes, they just say, well, I don't want it. I don't want it. Why? Why do they not want it? Person with diabetes. Because they understand very clearly that normal food that could be neutral for another person is a factor for them that is actually poisoning them. You can put it on a scale. Alcohol or cigarettes. Food becomes toxic element, and excessive consumption and not good food habits, they become toxic elements in the system. And CGM helps to understand that. CGM sets up these strings for a person's self-control and self-understanding, and to understand what to do in order to really have a happy and long life with their family and for their health to remain solid until the end of life. Now, let's get back to the product. CGM appeared 5 years ago on the market, but it was a real revolution. As you understand, as I have said already, old systems do not provide appropriate tools for self-control. However, CGM provides this tool, and people who have tried using CGM at least once, they now get a certain freedom. Freedom. They always have a helper on their body, always next to them. It is like a doctor. It is a sensor. And this helper helps them live and helps them feel free. Many producers that are now present on the market, they often associate CGMs with freedom, with lightness, with a flight, with something that a person really feels when they use such devices. What do we offer as a company? 5 years ago, this trend started. Currently, out of 537 million people, only several million people are using CGM systems. The trend is very powerful. 30% a year. This is growth of consumption of CGM systems. It is growth year on year, 30%. There are several leaders on the market. These leaders change their positions. Some of them get ahead, others lose on their leadership positions, but things remain pretty much the same globally. Community of people with diabetes have accepted certain standards of using CGM. They are disposable devices which you install for a certain period of time. And when this period is over, you change them. And then everything is transferred to your mobile phone. There are two leaders on the market now. It is Dexcom, American startup back in the day. Now they have grown to become a huge company with huge indicators in terms of price, more than $30 billion. It is the price of their actions, of their shares, sorry. And they occupy a huge share of rich countries, part of the European market, part of the American market, and the other company, Freestyle Libre, a brand from Abbott company. They also rushed in on the market, looking at Dexcom developments. They developed their own product, and they're also starting to englobe the market. Companies that are now creating CGM are not sufficient. We see it all over the world. I'm now speaking to you from the Russian Federation. Here, only one producer is producing CGMs, and most of these systems are obsolete. And they just supply components and elements which are not supplied in developed countries. They're obsolete systems. They just do it to fill in the gap in the market. Of course, it also has impact on results, but the fact is the fact. CGM is not represented in most countries, and this trend is gaining speed now. We keep in mind value. Many companies base themselves on an idea, on an hypothesis. However, we base ourselves on the real financial sector. Companies that are now doing CGMs, they are open, they are public companies. They have open public results of the activities, and we can analyze all this information, and we can look at current achievements and indicators. Dexcom and Freestyle Libre, in terms of sales, they have reached $6 billion per year, the two of them. And the growth, according to their forecast, is 30% a year. They will absorb more and more of the market. We, MLC Engineering, we are creating our own system, CGM system. We have called it Fly. And the system looks like top achievements. It's very similar to top achievements, which have become standard of the current diabetic market of CGM sales. We are creating our own system that is disposable as well. It will be installed for 14 days. It has all the top indicators necessary for this market and for consumers. And it will interact with a mobile phone. Many have noticed, maybe, that medicine is proceeding at a very high pace towards computerization. Even MRI, for example, it is a huge computer with a huge number of calculations. Same here, all systems, all diagnosis systems, they are becoming computerized. We have set a goal for ourselves to take information from CGM via a mobile device, via the overall mobile account, and to help users make conclusions based on decisions, on daily decisions they take. We will make use of artificial intelligence in analysis of data, of course, if users allow that. What does our device look like? It looks like that. We are currently at a certain level of development. I'm not going to get to the financial part of the presentation. I will rather show you our device. Now I want to give the floor to Mr. Kiranjet. Mr. Kiranjet, what's your opinion about that? What do you think about this market? What's your vision of this market? What's your vision of expansion of consumption of CGM products? Your microphone is off. Your microphone.
Yeah, now I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much, Ivan, for giving a brief detail about the product. Can I show my presentation also, or I can just give my comments?
Yes, of course, you can share it.
reis ümber Tonibeti maailma parima meelelahutuse ja spordi tippsündmustega. Kiire, usaldusväärne ja alati mänguga kaasas. Tonibet. Wow.
I will take quickly whatever we have discussed so that some point can be duplicate. But to just familiar about what product we are into, what is the market size, what are the growth prospects, and where up to what point we can able to go. So in this slide, what Ivan is already discussed, like whatever we are eating and whatever if we are consuming. If we are eating and consuming, that will be in the balance. In that case, there is no problem. But if there is no balance, whatever we are eating as a layman, and if we will not able to consume, and that can create a problem. That interruption is called diabetics, basically. The complication of the diabetics, you can see like it is the silent killer. It can hurt your eyes, it can your renal failure. You may have a diabetic foot, you may have stroke, you may have heart damages or not diseases. So there are so many complications you may have if you are not managing these diseases. So evolution of diabetes technology, you will see that start from 1776 with urine testing, 1900 start with urine test strip, 1977 start from with the glucose meter, 1999 is come with glucose sensor, and now the last like 3-4 years we are seeing this continuous glucose monitoring system. So these are the various models are available in the market. Directly or indirectly, we may come across and we may have seen this kind of the glucose meter which is available in the market. So if we will not go to continuous glucose monitoring system, then you may have this lensing device, Lancet, control solution, test strip, and then you have to write down individually time to time what is your glucose level. So this is the main chart which I can able to discuss, which Yvonne is also emphasized much more. Like if you will see, this is the yellow chart where around like 80 to 140. This is the safe zone for as a layman, And then in the graph you can see the blue one. That is a trigger of like morning 6 o'clock. What you want to say when you are empty stomach, it is in the control range. But 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock when you are having your breakfast, is shoot up like 280 and then it's come down. And again then it's shoot up and then it's come down. So basically, if you don't have the continuous monitoring system, sometimes with piercing kind of the devices, you can mislead. Whether like suppose in the morning you can see your it is within the range at 6 a.m. it is within the range. At night 11 p.m. also it is within the range. So you might thinking that this is within the range, but actually you are not within the range when you are comparing it like 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock. and that can be a really a serious issue. So there should not be what glucose level have been will be direction or rate of change of glucose, and today many patients do not achieve the glycemic target despite focus on the effort. So where is the ball going? Basically, we are not able to pinpoint the diseases, what type and what precaution we have to take, and for that we have to go for we have to go for sorry. This is if we don't know the exact point. So patient may be thinking that he is fine, but he can come across hypoglycemia. That kind of the diseases, and which can be a very serious for him if he will not take care at the appropriate time, the right action. So what is the solution for that? The solution is continuous glucose monitoring. And this is the continuous glucose monitoring basically that gives you a real-time information, real-time feedback, and real-time warning and alert, so that you can take the right action at the right time, and you can avoid the bigger damage to your body or to your health. See, in a day, like if you will not go for continuous monitoring, you will get 2 or 3 or 4 times, and that is a very painful process. But with continuous glucose monitoring system, you can take 288 reading per day. There should not be pain. Accurate, stable, and consistent glucose trend, aero systems, alert and alarm with low and high glucose level, remote monitoring, and AGB-based report to visualize comprehensive glucose data. So this is the continuous glucose monitoring system what Ivan had already discussed. So I will go to the next slide. This slide you can see how these things are working. Basically, there are the glucose sensor which is inserted inside the body, inside the skin. Then there are the transmitter, and that transmitter, there is a psychological delay associated with the transfer of glucose from blood to the interstitial compartment. Continuous glucose monitoring provides full dimension of the trend. Sensor inserted under the skin, measure fluid is between tissue, and then in the presence of glucose, a current is generated, and sensor is attached to a transmitter. And from this transmitter, you can see the graph. So here you can see this dotted line is the line in between, like whatever the system has monitor or glucose level. So what is the market size of this glucose monitoring system? In 2021, the continuous glucose monitoring device estimate was 4.7 billion. By 2030, it expected to reach over 10.34 billion. For the period 2022 to 2030, a compound growth rate 9.2% is expected. And then the first number 2021, the glucose monitoring device market in India was estimated around 209 million for the year of 2020. The India continuous glucose monitoring market is expected to register a CAGR greater than 70% over the forecast period 2022 and 27. India is home to world's second largest alert diabetic population. Growth factors: overweight and obesity are the two major causes of diabetes. According to the World Health Organization, more than 1.9 billion global population were overweight, out of which around 650 million adults were obese in 2016. According to the World Health Organization, around 1.5 million were directly linked to the diabetes in 2019. According to International Diabetes Federation, around 700 million people will be diabetic around the globe by 2045. Therefore, the alarming rise in diabetic population globally is expected to drive the demand for continuous glucose monitoring device in the forthcoming years. If you will see the end user insight, based on the end user, the home healthcare segment accounted for around 45% of the market share in 2021. The rising penetration of the clinic and diagnostic lab across the globe is major factor that boost and demand for continuous glucose monitoring device. Moreover, low literacy in the low and middle income country made the diabetic population dependent on the clinics and diagnostic lab for the continuous blood glucose monitoring, which is a major factor for growth of other segments. Thank you. Now I'm stopping my presentation, and then we can discuss further in details about these products and the possibilities of the market.
Скажите, мистер Киранджет, вот
Mr. Kiranjet,
сумма в $208 миллионов.
$208 million, right? It is a figure that you mentioned,
Yes.
the current market.
Yes.
And how many users are already using CGM system? Do you know? Maybe you have such data.
We have just 1 second.
Proovi uut muraka ja mustikamaitselist Actimeli koos C-vitamiiniga. Naudi kampaania hinnaga Actimeli.
The market is 209 million US dollars, and how many people are using right now? That data I will work out basically. How many people are using that figure is exactly not available right now.
Yes, just out of curiosity. It is that I will now speak about the financial part.
But
of the
I have
question.
noted down in our next meeting, I will bring this figure.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kiranjet. What am I driving at? Figures are big, $209 million in 2020, but they are not limit figures. This is not the ceiling. CGM consumers, it is 2 or 3% of people that could potentially use CGMs. And it's not that they are not in demand or there are other obstacles and problems. It is that people are just starting to learn about convenience of usage of CGM. We are forecasting that by 2040, and yes, it is a real forecast, so by 2040, it will reach 20%. People who know about this problem will be using CGM as the main system or as an additional system for self-control. Some users, according to our forecast, will still remain not diagnosed, but still this progress will be there. People will be moving towards using it more and more, so the number of consumers will be increasing. Now we are setting goals which are not really in link with financial indicators, but rather with human indicators. That is, how many clients, to what number of clients we can offer our product, and to make these people our clients. We have set a goal for ourselves now. It is very clear. 1 million clients. Just think about this figure, 1 million clients. Is that a lot or not? Related to the problem, as compared to the problem which currently exists, and compared to hundreds of millions of users, potential users, people who could potentially use CGM and increase their life expectancy, 1 million of users seems like a very small figure, a very small goal, but still, achievement of this 1 million of clients will provide amazing results for the company.
непосредственно о финансовой части и о пути
Now I will be
достижения
speaking about the financial part
финансовой
and
части.
about how to reach it.
Так. Я поделюсь с вами экраном, о такой системе.
I will share this one with you.
Мистер Киранджет, называется система
Kiranjit has already mentioned it.
готовности, да? И
Actually,
мы,
he has shared it with us. It is called TRL, Technology Readiness Level. Let's look at technology readiness level of our company and how we can fit in.
Что многие компании, хочется сказать, что в начальной стадии многие компании изначально отрабатывают гипотезу.
Many companies start with working on a hypothesis. For example, a mono wheel. No one has ever ridden it, but maybe at some point people will. So they need to test the hypothesis. Or some innovation device that no one has ever used, but maybe they will. Maybe somebody will in the future. So often companies start with hypothesis. And TRL system start with the idea, the concept. Our company actually already passes several TRL stages because we have the validated hypothesis already. We are now on step 5 of TRL system. And we are now creating prototype to test it. To test it on people. I mean, to test its convenience and to develop it further. To bring this product through all the steps and bring it to the stage of mass production. So, investors who are taking part in the project and people who are interested in the project, I want to say something good to you. We have covered half of the way. We don't need to validate hypotheses because they have already been automated. They have already been validated automatically. We know which product we are making. They are disposable CGM systems. We are designing them. And we know which results there are on the market. It enforces and increases our position at all. And half of the stages of TRL, it is quite a big result. So we have already covered half of it, which is significant. At stage 5, 6, and 7, it is very profitable to invest in the company. And now the stages are the most effective in terms of investment. The technology is developing. This is the brief state of affairs. And then I will now show you our device. What do our developments look like?
Так, мистер Киранджет, пожалуйста, завершите демонстрацию. Я попробую сейчас за вас это сделать. Секундочку.
Mr. Kiranjit, unshare screen. I will try to do it in your place now.
I already exist.
Перестали. Отлично.
Great.
reis ümber Tonibeti maailma parima meelelahutuse ja spordi tippsündmustega. Kiire, usaldusväärne ja alati mänguga kaasas. Tonibet. Wow.
Видно ли мой экран сейчас? Не совсем понимаю.
Can you see my screen now?
Вообще не видно экран, как я понимаю, да? К сожалению, не могу включить параллельно. Сейчас, секундочку.
Fortunately, I cannot do it in parallel.
Ну что, вот, видимо, Zoom, обновление Zoom не дает мне поделиться на текущий момент.
Zoom is getting updated, and that is why I cannot share my presentation, unfortunately.
Проверьте, пожалуйста, что вы не делитесь экраном.
Mr. Keeles, are you sure that you are not sharing your screen now?
No. I will. Now you can see. Can you see right now?
Продолжим тогда без демонстрации.
Okay, let's continue without
Да, действительно,
demonstration.
предлагает-
Anesthesia, can you ask once again? I have opened and closed. Can you just check for once again? Everyone can check once again. Yes, now we can see.
Мгм, мгм. Да, попробовал через другую программу.
Okay, I have tried to use another
Так,
program for that.
Надеюсь, видно. Да, может быть, не в полноэкранном режиме, но, по крайней мере...
Okay, maybe it's not in full screen mode, but at least it is
часто
open.
программа, значит, обновляется, приходится все время подстраиваться. Так, секундочку. Невероятно. Ну что ж, наверное, не получится у меня продемонстрировать.
Okay, I don't think that I will be able to
Ну,
share my
мне
screen.
хочется что сказать. Давайте, наверное, поговорим о том, что мы делаем.
I
и,
cannot really show you our achievements
значит,
now,
о том,
but let's speak about what
какие
we are
планы
doing
у нас стоят. Буквально одну минуточку, я сейчас
anyway and which plans we have.
I have to say something, anesthesia. Can I?
Yes, please.
Да-да.
Can I?
Of course.
Yes. See, one thing I would like to share, like due to some family issue, I had to be in last 10 days into hospitals. So I have talked more than 7-8 doctors about this continuous glucose monitoring systems. And two things I will tell you, which is the feedback which I received from the doctors. First of all, you know, the major diseases like heart attacks and that kind of the things I think everyone can able to continue his presentation. I will share my experience after his presentation. He can continue.
Нет, я слушаю, мы слушаем вас, конечно.
No, we're listening to you. We're listening to you. Please continue.
Okay. So what doctor told basically, the price difference between continuous glucose monitoring systems and the normal is the substantially very big. Gap is very big. So most of the time, a patient could not find out the right kind of information at the right time. So once the patient come to them, it is already very delay. And the major advantage with MLC for which direction we are working, like the other model which is working in the range of like $80 to $100 for 40 days or for 14 days. Okay. Instead of that, what MLC is working, that is, I think around $30. That is our target for 14 days. So once we will achieve this $30, so because of the cost advantage, we can able to reach to the mass peoples. You know what the question recently asked by Mr. Ivan, that how many people, because 1 or 2% right now people are able to reach, because this product right now available are very costly. So once it will become to a comfortable price for the normal peoples, definitely the demand is very big, market is very big, and we can very well capture that bigger market, which is not able to capture by continuous glucose monitoring manufacturer because their price is very high. I will give one example, like a mobile phone. When it started, we had to pay like 27 rupees, or you can say 20 ruble per minute. But today it is like 0.5 ruble per minute. So cost come down. Now the market has been accepted throughout, globe. That revolution we have seen. So similar kind of the market growth is possible for MLC once they will achieve a $30 for 14 days instead of $80 for 14 days. I think I have made my point. Yvonne can continue.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kiranjit. We do have a goal. It is decrease of the product cost, and there is potential to decrease. There is where to go. Cost of products, it is actually 1/10 of the current price of the product. Of course, when production increases, when the number of people increases, users, the cost of products will go down. It will go down reasonably, and it will move towards $30 or maybe even less than $30 in order to conquer markets, to make it mass product and for everyone to use it and for it not to be a significant financial burden. So mass nature of it is important. I must say that CGM system, it is something that must be bought all the time. It is not a one-time or one-off purchase that can be there for several years. They are disposable systems. They can be used for 14 days. And the cost is decisive here. Because every 2 weeks you buy it, and so you need to have 24 purchases per year in order to control your health using these systems. And of course, in marketing, we include already that we will be using these systems with a big discount for our constant clients, for our loyal clients. You know, smart devices like that, it is easy to keep track of them. It is like a personal account where you activate your system. The more devices you activate, the longer the client is with us, the cheaper they will be. There are different programs for that. On your screen, you now see our version of CGM. Where I am pointing now, it is the sense itself, the protective lid, and the installer, the applicator. Here we show that we will be connecting it to the mobile phone itself. All components of our technological system of CGM, they are being set up for it to interact with a mobile phone. And a mobile phone, as you know, when it connects to internet, can provide access to the so-called big data and artificial intelligence systems that will help forecast food habits, for example, and will help forecast, will actually tell people about where errors occur. Computer intelligence and big data, artificial intelligence, usually they help much better, much more than self-analysis. And we are creating a system, and we actually integrate this improvement in it straight away, right from the start. We're now making a system that is not just a tool of self-control, but it is also a tool of fixing parameters for this smart helper to help you via mobile phone. This helper will help you manage your food habits, and it will actually prompt you about where an error occurred and how you can influence that for that not to happen in the future, where you made an error in terms of food consumption. Here you see our sensor zoomed in. It's not that big. It looks huge on the screen, but actually it's not big. It is actually, the width is like 2 fingers. It's not big at all. And our system goes together with all smart devices, with a smartwatch, with a mobile phone, with tablets, with laptops, doctors' laptops as well, in order to download the results and to provide consultation services. We will be using several devices, a computer, an iPhone, Android, and they will all be interacting. It is electronic database. And when access is provided, and when data is transferred to big data, to electronic library, the so-called library, you will be able to draw conclusions from it. Our product looks like that. We have called it Fly. It is the test name of it until we obtain a certificate, a patent. Here is the kit, the install, the sensor, and it is our brand, the brand we are now producing to reach the CGM market and to start working on this multi-billion successful and very necessary market. On this slide, you see a 3D visualization and components of it, how our installer functions. We cannot show you much. We are now working on our components to be different from our competitors' components. It is necessary. Some of the components will be going through patent procedures, will patent the mechanism itself that we have developed. And now you see pictures that are actually screenshots of 3D model. We're now working on printing our developments and on assembling all the components into the functional model. 2023, the current year, it is a very serious, significant year for our product. By the end of the year, we'll have our own prototype that will fully reflect our product. This year, we will realize, make the product which in the future will be promoted all over the world. I would like to show some more slides from the financial presentation, if I manage to open them, of course.
Скажите, мистер Киранджи, мы с вами уже часто обсуждаем вопросы.
Mr. Kiranjit, we often discuss strategy of financing via big investors or small investors. How do you assess, do big investors have interest in investing in such systems? And are big pharmaceutical companies interested in promoting such products on different markets? What's your estimate of that?
Yes, I'm already in talk with a couple of people and I got a positive response, and maybe in coming days we will see some development also related to the big investors. I'm talking with a group of doctors also who are interested to explore these possibilities for these markets. So maybe in our coming webinar, I will try to invite a few doctors and who can, put their views and what they are thinking about this product and possibilities. So definitely it's quite encouraging. I got a good response from these people, investor as well as doctor.
Thank you. We are getting feedback from everywhere in the world about prospects of our product, and people want to cooperate with us in terms of distributing our products. And we now need to finance developments and tests. Our project is harmoniously divided into several stages of development, into 17 stages of financing. And now we are going through pre-seed stage, where we are creating our own prototype. This stage is as profitable as can be for investors, for any investor, big, small, or medium. And it is high time to join our project and our product and to earn together with us. All the information related to investment component of our project, you can obtain it via technical support and via national representatives in your region. And now we are working with investors privately, and you can ask your questions and you will get full answers to them. Our global goal is to generate profit for all our investors and all the people that support our project. The company has huge potential. We assess it with the increase of, with the possibility of increase of your capital invested in our project 1,000 times increase. All of that is possible. It depends on the number of participants and on the number of sales that we will reach over a certain period of time. Our project is built in the following way. If we have 1,000 buyers of our products, you will still get dividends. It is 50% of the company's profitability. The more clients we have in the future, the more you will earn. If our company obtains the result, even part of the result which we envisage, your capital can increase tens and hundreds of times, and you will be able to dispose of much bigger amounts of money than what you have invested, and leave that money for your descendants and so on. A very easy example, $10,000 may convert into $10 million, and 50% of profits will be distributed as dividends. I provide these financial indicators very quickly. All these financial indicators are justified and are explained. But now our presentation is rather light. It's just getting acquainted with our product. In order to join our project, you need to get registered in our back office, fill in your profile. There you can choose the corresponding investment package and read our presentations. Thank you, Mr. Kiranjit, for participating in our webinar. We are developing intensely all over the planet. Each month, we open 1 or 2 national representations in different parts of our planet. Our company currently is very young, and youth means potential. Youth means growth. Youth means prospects. Join our project right now and grow together with our company. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you, Mr. Kiranjit. See you soon. Come to our webinars and get registered in our company. We will answer all your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Anastasia. And thank you to all my friends. Have a good day. Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.